Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
Hello and welcome once again to Cheap Shot Entertainment. Now I'm going to take you through everything that happened at Backlash on the 14th of June 2020. It took place in the WWE Performance Center and it was in Orlando, Florida, because that's where the Performance Center is. Almost lost my train of thought there. Anyway, you are the Cheap Shot Nation. I'm your host Luke. Join us for the rest of the video where we'll take you through all the action.
This is awesome!
So just for the record, I did not watch the pre-show, the kickoff show, whatever you want to call it, but I did hear that the US Championship match was very, very good between Andrade and Apollo Crews. So maybe that's something I will go back and watch later on. But we kick off the action here at Backlash. I will get my words out eventually. It's been a while since I've done a video. We'll kick off at Backlash with the Women's Tag Team Championship match. It is your champions, Bayley and Sasha Banks. You can call Bayley Becky Dose Straps, and that sounds interesting. And not Becky Dose Straps, it's Bayley Dose Straps. I don't get my train of thought back here. Too busy thinking about Anyway, Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross, former champions. Of course, Bayley and Sasha Banks took the titles off them, and again, former champions, the Iconics, back from a lengthy spell away from the camera and from performing in the ring, straight into a title shot, and it did really show here, unfortunately. Possibly one of the weakest matches on the card. Lots of misses. Didn't have much time to work towards this match, and usually it takes a bit of planning. But luckily, all 6 women are very good inside the ring, and certainly 4 of them are absolutely excellent. So they did carry it really well, and it did get better towards the end as more things started happening, but it was kind of bitty. And there's lots of quick pin attempts in this one early, and it's quite sloppy, with the Iconics making transition from being away, like I say. Peyton does a dive to the outside, a flying crossbody, and takes everyone out, including Billie Kay. Twisted Bliss on Royce nearly leads to the finish, but Banks does creep in and get the roll up on Alexa Bliss. Alexa Bliss gets pinned. Bayley and Sasha keep the championships. There wasn't much to talk about in this one apart from the dive. There wasn't many spots involved really apart from that. It was the opening contest and it was okay. Like I say, as it got going, as they started warming up, it definitely got a lot better, but probably this is no disrespect to the women. I love women's wrestling. I think it's come a long way, but possibly needed a bit more time to bake this one in the oven, so to speak. So we move on. Sasha and Bayley celebrate with their championships on the announce table and all that kind of stuff, really rubbing it in to them. And Braun arrives in his Buick Grand National. Now, I don't watch Raw and SmackDown because all I've got is the network, so it comes on 3 weeks later, so it'd be like watching the Go Home show 3 weeks after an event with another event on the horizon. So I don't bother with it. So I understand Braun's Buick Grand National got broken. The windscreen got broken, got beaten up by John Morrison and The Miz on SmackDown, I believe. So he arrives, his truck is back in full working order, and we then get an advert for Extreme Rules on the 19th of July, so you can be sure that we'll be covering that one as well. Sheamus versus Jeff Hardy next. Sheamus has made a job of making sure that Jeff Hardy feels inadequate and bringing up all his past, his DUIs and things like that. Can't believe they're actually using this in the storyline, but yeah, you'd expect with Jeff Hardy going clean now that he would get some redemption in this one. It's not to be. Sheamus does pick up the victory. Very aggressive in this one. Sheamus really angry. We incidentally did see why he was so angry from SmackDown. Jeff Hardy had to take a sobriety test, including a piss test, and then threw the clearly jar of not we into Sheamus's face, and that's why he's so angry. So he's definitely the aggressor here. Jeff Hardy looking beaten and battered, and Hardy does eventually go for the legs, taking out the power game of Sheamus. Hardy hits knee on the ring post on a big move as he's going up to the top. He, like I say, he's beaten and battered. He's lost some of his sort of balance. Sheamus calls the crowd enablers for cheering Jeff Hardy, really going into this one. And I suppose if you're going to have this kind of storyline, you want some people that would be able to pass it off, and you've got Jeff Hardy and Sheamus, who are both absolute veterans and really, really good inside that squared circle. Sheamus remains in full control. Hardy with a comeback, he uses his quickness again, but gets cut off. We hit the white noise and gets a near fall. Sheamus helps with the demons by smashing Hardy across the chest with the 10 beats of Bowery, and Sheamus sent into the post. Twist of fate rather, swanton, and Sheamus is too near the ropes and he gets his foot on the ropes and breaks up the count. Bro kick outside of the ring and off the barricade. So Jeff Hardy does his running off the barricade thing, tries to jump into Sheamus. Sheamus hits him with the bro kick, rolls Hardy back into the ring and hits another bro kick for the win. No redemption story here for Jeff Hardy. Wonder where they're going to go with this. It would have been nice to have some blow off for Jeff Hardy here, but there you go. They're obviously banking on Sheamus being with the company a bit longer than Jeff Hardy, knowing that his brother is in AEW. Raw Women's Championship next is Asuka versus Nia Jax, and for the finish, again, the women not really producing very much here. Asuka, brilliant as always, going in with the kicks and the strikes. Octopus stretch early, tries to take Nia Jax's power game away from her. Of course, there's a lot of history between these two ladies from NXT. Nia Jax, very controversial figure at the moment. Pretty much every move she makes, she'll be hurting someone, but she tended to pull and telegraph things in this match, which really showed. I don't know what's happened since NXT, because she was actually really good in NXT. I think she's been away for a while. You think that she'd just sort of get her thoughts together. Maybe she's just really worried about hurting someone else as well with her power moves. But Nia uses her power and she takes over. Another submission countered by Nia Jax into a Jax hammer, which looked rather scary, to be honest. Asuka comes back with strikes and the hip attack and gets a near fall. Both fall to the outside after a top rope move is countered by Nia Jax on Asuka. They are both counted out after a fight on the floor, and the double count out decision is a very weak way to finish the Raw Women's Championship match. Neither lady wanted it to finish this way, especially with the way it's been built up. But Asuka, being Asuka, dives at Nia Jax with her butt to the face and takes out Nia Jax just before she leaves with the title in hand. Of course, double count out, the champion doesn't lose the title. And remains sort of on the fence whether she's face or heel, because she attacked Nia Jax afterwards. So that was really fun. Well, the end of it was. Not quite sure about the rest of the match. It was okay, but a bit of a throwaway one, that. MVP talks to the American Lana. Completely lost her Russian accent now. She's married to Bobby Lashley. I guess that's the Lashley effect right there. and says, it's Lashley that's told you to stay away from ringside, not MVP. Handicap Universal Championship match now. Obviously, like I said earlier, The Miz and Morrison beat up Braun's Buick. Very nice car it is as well. And this has led to a 2-on-1 handicap match. And whilst Miz and Morrison were bragging about being co-champions, it is made very clear in the rules that only one of them can be champion. So that adds the element of deception in there between the two best friends in this match. Something of which Braun takes full advantage of throughout. There is some really good tag team moves between The Miz and Morrison here, taking down Braun Strowman with one strike after another, sort of quick strikes, sort of like Power Ranger taking down a big monster sort of thing, which means to me that they should remain a tag team, and they're just struggling for talent at the moment, and talent that can actually work through the COVID-19 pandemic. Which means that they've obviously put a tag team in a 2-on-1 handicap match, but they are building up Braun Strowman again to be that monster that we all know and love, including tipping over the van that Miz and Morrison were in on SmackDown, performing all their tricks and things. So Braun in control early on, but some quick thinking gives Morrison the chance to hit a kick to the outside, and a sleeper is locked in, trying to take Braun down by choking him out, basically making him go to sleep. Braun comes back but runs into the post. Miz and Morrison in complete control, and this is where you get to see the really good teamwork between the Miz and John Morrison, because it is really fun how they take bigger opponents down. So I'd like to see that later on, and hope they become champions again. But the Monster telegraphs a high move from John Morrison to pick up the victory as he kicks John Morrison in the face just after he's chokeslammed the Miz. Divide and conquer tactics from Braun Strowman. Strowman hits a power slam on John Morrison and gets the pin to retain the Universal Championship. Braun looked good here. Miz and Morrison also look really good as a tag team as well, so I'm excited to see what they can do, and I'm excited to see where Braun goes from here as a sort of transitional champion, as it was always probably meant to be, because obviously it was meant to be Roman Reigns, but Roman can't join because of his history with fighting cancer and things. So yeah, there you go. We get Corey Graves singing the "Hey Hey Hey Ho Ho" song that was debuted just before the match, and it is quite catchy, so download that on iTunes and Spotify, or whichever music service that you use. Not a paid advertisement, but it was quite catchy. Anyway, AJ is interviewed by Kayla and says that D-Bry is just not phenomenal, having beaten Daniel Bryan for the Intercontinental Championship, of course, in the finals of a tournament on SmackDown. Sami Zayn having to relinquish the title due to not being able to defend it. It's funny that, because Braun Strowman, it's not Braun Strowman, Brock Lesnar goes off for 3 months with the title, and there you go. But can you put answers in the comments section? What do you think about this? Can you put Brock Lesnar and Sami Zayn in the same category? One's a prize fighter, the other one's Sami Zayn. But they've not. Every time they bring someone up from NXT, they're not really using them very well. So it's nice to see the next match, i.e. Drew McIntyre, a former main eventer, now a big main eventer, also main evented NXT before getting injured there, versus Bobby Lashley. Again, someone who I've been craving to be in the main event picture. Bobby Lashley, he's the destroyer. He's the almighty Bobby Lashley. And of course, Drew McIntyre is also a destroyer as well. Destroyed the Beast, conquered the Beast, having a comeback victory. But there does seem to be a sort of way of doing things with Drew McIntyre, where he gets beaten down and then he comes back and he starts kicking out at one and then he comes back, and and this one's no different. But Bobby Lashley looked absolutely mint in this match. He looked really, really good, but the outcome wasn't so for Bobby Lashley. But before the match, Bobby Lashley locks in the full Nelson. We're going to call it the Lashley lock, because I don't think they've patented that yet. Also, sounds a bit like the Master Lock, so there you go. He locks in the Lashley lock. And Lashley is absolutely rabid. This is before the bell, so he's wearing down the champion before, and by all rights, that could have finished the match before it even started. But Lashley goes on the offensive after this. Takes a good 5 minutes for McIntyre to get back into this, take off his jacket even. And McIntyre catches Lashley coming in, feeling the confidence, with a big boot to gain the upper hand for a fraction of a second before Lashley comes back in full control. MVP joins in, giving some stick to McIntyre from the outside. He is accompanying Bobby Lashley to the ring rather than Lana. McIntyre starts to get back into the match after a good 10 minutes of beatings and smack talk from MVP and Bobby Lashley, sending Lashley into the barricade. And this is where it starts breaking down, and we're outside, we're fighting outside, and then follows on with a suplex. He obviously doesn't want to get counted out. He's a fighting champion. So Drew gets some momentum now and is finished with a spine buster. Goes for the kick, but is countered with a one-handed spine buster from Bobby Lashley. These two have massive chemistry, and it really shows here. They put on a fantastic show. Spine buster and a flatliner. Tries to lock in the Lashley lock again, but doesn't quite do it. Alabama slam from McIntyre to Lashley. Comes back again and hits a crossface to Bobby Lashley into a tombstone. It looked like it could have rather been a bit nasty, but Bobby Lashley rolls through. Great exchange by two bigger guys here. Bobby Lashley rolls through and hits the ankle lock on Drew McIntyre. McIntyre then comes back with the Kimura lock, showing that these two are not just big bruisers, that they can actually wrestle as well, and hit submission moves when they need to, etc, etc. It goes up top now, does Drew McIntyre, and it's a superplex on Bobby Lashley. Spear by Lashley and a kick out from Drew McIntyre. Sorry, that was Lashley on McIntyre rather, off the top. Lana makes her way out to ringside randomly. No reason, no rhyme for it apart from it being Lana. And Lashley nearly runs into her, doesn't, stops himself, turns around into the Glasgow Kiss from Drew McIntyre. Lashley knocks Lana onto MVP. He is then hit with a Claymore kick, and that is all she wrote. McIntyre retains the championship in easily the second best match of the night besides the main event. Is that the greatest wrestling match of all time? It was really good, but I don't think I could call it the greatest. Obviously it was all going round towards the show's main theme song, which is The Greatest Show, which came from that film that everyone sings. Raw Tag Team Championships next, or should I say should have been the Raw Tag Team Championships, because Well, it was one of the produced matches that WWE have been putting out, and it was completely at random. It's the Street Profits, the tag team champions over on Raw. That's Angelo Dawkins and Montez Ford versus the Viking Raiders. That's Eric and Ivar. So the match starts outside the arena. They fight a little bit. They fight a little bit more. Braun's wing shield gets broken again, and Street Profits get golf clubs, and the Viking Raiders get shields, an axe, and for some reason a bowling ball. Sure, that'll come into play later on. So they fight a bit more. Montez Ford and Ivar are fighting. Eric and Angelo Dawkins fight around the corner. Ivar realises that he's got a prone Montez Ford and a bowling ball, and in a move that could only be described as fighting with my family fierce, rolls the bowling ball into the balls in a 7-10 split of Montez Ford. The only thing that was missing here, which would have made things really funny, is Bianca Belair popping out the side and going, that don't go there. But they didn't pull that spot. Don't know where Bianca Belair is at this point in time. Probably didn't want to endanger her with bowling balls and things. But I did laugh at this. It's probably the worst one that we've seen of the produced matches, the directed matches that had the music and things. Obviously no commentary or anything like that, but it was funny, and there was lots of throwbacks to lots of random things that the Viking Raiders and the Street Profits have been doing on Raw to lead up to this match. Sad that we didn't actually get a match between the two, because both of these teams are absolutely brilliant. So Viking Raiders get thrown through a window next. And they say, why did you throw me through a window? And all of a sudden we get a biker gang full of ninjas led by Akira Tozawa. As we talk heavily about racism and things like that, we get Akira Tozawa playing a Yakuza biker gang leader. And it's like, ninjas, man, we've got to come. They all huddle up and we've got to come together. So they become the Viking Profits. Was that it? Yes, the Viking Profits are born, and all of a sudden we find ourselves in a live-action version of Rush Hour. Yes, I'm not making this up. This is the actual things that happened. We get next sword versus turkey leg, because we've got a giant 7-foot ninja coming out now. Clearly Shaq, maybe a reference to Shaq Fu, I don't know. All I know is that as soon as I put that on the group chat with the boys, Woody said, I've got that game. So I think that might have to be a video on the gaming channel, Cheap Shot Entertainment Systems. So make sure you go and check that out, because that's a new channel that is starting up very, very soon. So all four run up to the top of the truck. They attack each other again. They realise that they're actually, well, they're not in a match, but they kind of are in a match. They throw each other off the truck into a dumpster, and then they get another flashback. It's like, you're cute, you not so much, that kind of thing. The referee comes along and says, Ivar, you're cute, he's not so much. I must say at this point that the referee is a lady referee. Never seen that referee before, so I'm not quite sure of her name, but it's good to see another lady referee in WWE, so that's really cool. And we finish off with a sort of tentacle, some growling and a tentacle in the dumpster with them. Not quite sure, to be honest. I've just put Kraken here. why is there an octopus or a kraken in the dumpster? Why is the dumpster so close to the truck? All these questions will never be answered ever. We then go back to the announce desk and they announce that the Raw Tag Team Championship match will actually not go ahead. Well, we didn't think it would be, to be honest, guys, but there you go. So, we go on to the main event now, which is the greatest wrestling match ever. Or is it? So, the greatest wrestling match ever, Randy Orton versus Edge. We get the introductions between the two. Really weird setup actually in this one, because they've got the sort of the ice hockey boards going all the way down the entrance ramp as well, so you get a lot of reflection. But it's good to see that people are at ringside now, although they did pipe a lot of crowd noise into this one, and I would say perhaps overused the "This is awesome" chant that they'd obviously recorded from another event. Yeah, I mean, like other people have said, wrestling with the great Brian Zane have said, and What Culture and all those people have said, if you're going to use these kind of things and pipe in crowd noise when the crowd's not actually there, is it worth actually having a crowd on hand, or should you use it for all the matches? And obviously it makes this more epic, and for the most part they used it very, very well, but I found it a bit like canned laughter on The Big Bang Theory. They use it when things aren't funny, and that's all the time. Controversial thought there from me, but Big Bang Theory is rubbish. But there you go. So we get a very old school start here. They come down to the ring. We get the MSG, the original MSG microphones in the ceiling, and the Fink, his voice piped over the speakers, introducing both of them. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of controversy about this. I thought it was really cool, to be honest. It was a nice little tribute to him, and it was a nice way of bringing him in, showing their love of the best ring announcer that WWE has ever had. And yeah, he introduces both the contestants in this one, the combatants, the wrestlers, the superstars, whatever you want to call them. I know some people wasn't very happy with the way that this happened. So kudos to them. If that's what you think, leave a comment in the comment section down below, or go to the social media links to tell us what you think. Do you think it was not appropriate to use things like that, or do you think that it was absolutely fine? So, the greatest wrestling match ever. We better get onto it, shall we? So yeah, I like the microphone overhead. We've got the piped-in noise, gives big match feel, and an early shot between both of them. Early fisticuffs, exchanging blows, whatever you want to call them. Exchanging blows. Oh, my mind's so dirty. It's actually really hammering it down outside as I'm looking out the window. In fact, I haven't even closed the curtains today because it's so dark outside that I can do this video without doing that. So Edge is focusing on the arm of Randy Orton. He's really taking the match to Orton, showing that he's not really lost any of his tricks, any of his cunning. Orton busted open early in this one. Orton counters Edge into a modified neck breaker. So he usually does the back breaker with the person over his back, but they countered it into a neck breaker. Orton getting mad now and throws Edge into the barriers several times, head into the stairs several times, trying to knock Edge senseless here. Really nasty Randy Orton. The kind of Randy Orton that we saw back in 2009. I quite liked that kind of Randy Orton. Not the tweener, we just need Randy Orton. We need the Viper. And he needs to be ruthless. He needs to inject that poison. So Edge goes back first onto the announce table. with a back suplex and sent Edge into the ring for the first near fall of the match. 3 Amigos from Edge after countering Randy Orton, trying to do the same thing. Chop fight follows. Lots of spots like that. We had the Ric Flair, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. We had sharpshooters tried, rock bombs, Triple H's pedigree, and followed by a drop kick. Orton looks to finish off Edge with a superplex. Edge gets the better of Randy Orton with a slingshot cut, and a kick is cut off on the top rope. Looks for the diving DDT, or the dropping DDT rather. Edge is up top at this point, and Randy Orton's DDT, where he has the legs up high and drops them, is countered into an execution and another near fall. 2 knee strikes and a forearm lead to another near fall for Edge. Crossbody, near fall, Orton, near fall, cross face roll through into an angle slam or an Olympic slam from Orton. Edge kicks out again. Edge-o-matic after a counter exchange between the two. Like I say, we've got, all these moves going in. The spear is countered. The power slam is countered by Edge. The on prettier is hit in a tribute to his best friend Christian by Edge. Slingshot onto the ropes. Pedigree from Orton. Rock bomb from Edge. We're hitting every single move that we could possibly think of here. The only thing that they didn't hit was the Stone Cold Stunner, and I'm pretty sure that if Kevin Owens didn't have that as his finishing move, then they'd probably hit that as well. RKO from the top rope as Edge tries to fly. RKO and another couple of roll-ups and a kick out. Spear ×2 from Edge and another kick out. Low blow from Randy Orton behind the referee's back, or not so, because they're fighting, and he knees him in the groin, and hits the punt as Edge is down and out and gets the victory. Then hangs over Edge, telling him to tell his family that Uncle Randy says hi, and it's that was malicious. I loved it. We definitely got to see the proper side of Randy Orton in this one. The Randy Orton that took no prisoners and did things to people that got them really angry, and he used that against them, and this is exactly what happened here. So we are 1-1 in the greatest wrestling match ever. Of course, Edge picking up the victory at WrestleMania and Orton picking up the victory here. So the rubber match, Extreme Rules, is the next one on the 19th of July, so most likely we're going to get some kind of Extreme Rules, no false count anywhere, last man standing kind of thing, although they did the last man standing thing, didn't they, I think, at WrestleMania. But it was okay. It was alright as a pay-per-view. It's not been as good as what we have come to expect from WWE during the pandemic, but it was certainly not the worst pay-per-view I've seen in recent times, but definitely not the best either. So 19th of July is Extreme Rules. Expect us to be doing a review on that one as well, right here on Cheap Shot Entertainment, as this is now the exclusive wrestling channel for the Cheap Shot Entertainment brand. Join us right here. Also check out the Quick Shot Reviews channel. So you may have seen some of the movie reviews that I do on this channel. That is moving to its own channel because we do quite a lot of those, so it just makes it a bit easier to put all those on in one place and keep this for wrestling kind of stuff. That's that. And we've also got the gaming channel as well, which I've got lots of stuff to get through before that goes live. So planning on doing that towards the end of June, beginning of July. So subscribe if you're watching the video. If you like it, you know what to do. Leave us a comment down below. Did you like Backlash? Did you enjoy it? What was your favourite match? The Raw Tag Team Championships, that was crazy. And could this actually be the greatest wrestling match ever? I don't think so. but certainly one of the greatest rivalries in recent history in wrestling. Anyway, you are the Cheap Shot Nation. I have been your host, Luke, and you have been watching Cheap Shot Entertainment on YouTube. And I will see you next time. Take care, and goodbye.